There we go. Alright, so anyway, we're gonna keep layering on these base colors here. This is gonna be sped up and then re-uploaded to the Patreon as well, whenever it is complete. Alright, so these two browns are gonna be pretty good for what we're looking for. You can see there's not a lot of detail anyway on this miniature. So the real trick to bring this guy to life is gonna be the actual shading and then the highlights. So for his boots, I'm just going to add a different color to the brown that we already have out on the palette. So I'm going to darken it up. I'm going to apply Army Painter's Oak Brown with this other brown that we just used. We're going to throw it on his little shoes here, his little footies. His little Crocs. He's wearing some old world Crocs here probably. That's what they look like. So we're just going to slop this on pretty quick. Coverage here doesn't matter as much because we're only going to do very, very small edge highlights anyway on the feet, so who cares. I may actually end up using this color for the inside of his fur coat. Like the inside of the pelt. You won't be able to see it after we wash it anyway, so I think I'll probably do that real quick. So we're just going to shove it up under here. You guys definitely can't see that on the stream, but you're not missing much. Alright. Then in between the legs... Actually, I probably should have done this color first so it doesn't hit his pants, but no harm, no foul. Alright. Get this side of it. Alright, cool. So, did the inside. You can see I got some of the paint there on the inside of the leg. That's really not going to matter here once we are going back over it anyway. It's going to be a quick paint job. Alright, so for now, I'm pretty happy with this. I think I'm going to mix... I'm going to make like a tan color, so I'm going to use this Reaper Master Series Fair Skin to brighten this up to a really light tan color. If I can get it out of the pot, let's see. I'll have to use the cap. There we go. This will be the color for the straps on his wrist. Remember, we're just going for speed here. We're not trying to do anything fancy. Alright, so we have this color. It'll be great after we put a wash on it. We're going to be doing the skin and his face and everything after we do everything else because we're going to use just the Vallejo skin tone wash for that, so we don't want it to get messed up by all the other washes we're going to use. Oops, sorry about that. Layering this paint up on here. Hope everybody's having a spooky Monday. We're dealing with a haunted stream. Hopefully, we don't have too many problems with it. Alright, so just painted the straps on there, that color. Now all we have left is the big fur coat and his skin. So, really easy paint job. Obviously, too, we have this stuff. I mean, I'll go ahead and mix up a different color brown here. We're just going to be using the same brown tones. That way the palette is nice and cohesive on this miniature. So all the browns are similar, but they're at least different.
Put the music back on.
The differences too will become much more clear as well once we actually do the washes and tones on this dude. So, pretty easy. Pretty easy so far. And you'll see just exactly how fast this really goes. Alright. So, what we're going to do next, I'm going to apply, let's see where it is on the table. Where are you? Here it is. Nope, that's dark umber. I want this one. So we're going to do Vallejo Game Color Sepia Wash directly onto this deep taupe gray color for his fur coat. We can do it thin. We don't necessarily have to, though.
We'll start on the back here. Making sure that I'm applying enough of it so that gravity can do the work for us, as always with washes. And I'm doing this without a base coat because it's going to give us a lot of definition on the actual individual pieces of fur there. Then we'll go back through with a couple other washes. I doubt we'll have to highlight it up afterwards, but we'll see, maybe. Might have a change of heart, you never know. You'll see here in the next step as well just how easy this all becomes. Actually, I'm gonna see if this works. Never attempted this before on stream. I know I've done it before without streaming, so we'll see how this works. So I actually have my fan going right now on the miniature while I'm applying the wash. So let's see how that turns out. Do the top part here. Alright, so you can see we applied that. It's a pretty good wash because it tones down that gray. Or it doesn't tone it down, but what it does is it actually tints it brown. Which is another reason why I like to use that gray color as the base color. You can do a lot with it with washes. Making sure I have all the different areas covered here. Up underneath, do the back side, between the legs. Alright, so looks like that's good to go. I'm just gonna let this get hit with the fan here for a minute. So you can see it drying on the miniature as we're waiting. But it keeps all that detail in there. While we're waiting on that to dry, we can go ahead and paint the silver on the axe. Let's use, if I can find it, yeah, let's use the Army Painter gunmetal. The only other silver that he's got on him that I'm aware of is whatever little talisman thing he's wearing. You can see that wash is almost totally dry now. He has like a key or something in his hand. Not too sure exactly what it is. I remember looking at a painted version of him. It didn't make much sense either, but we're just going to go ahead and paint it silver. 'Cause that's how they had it painted when I saw it. Alright, so it appears that sepia wash is all dry, good to go. We can do his base real quick too. Obviously I didn't apply any texture other than the little, you know, part that he's actually attached to right there, the metal one. This is an aftermarket base, so it doesn't really matter. But I think as long as his coat is dry,
It appears to be pretty dry. Yeah, it looks good to me. Alright, so let's tone down the whole thing. So we're going to use, if I can find it, I'm going to use a mix of, no, that's not what I want. Here it is. Here it is. I'm going to turn off the fan. So we're going to use Army Painter Soft Tone and then Game Color Lovato Umber Wash. Giving it a good shake. What do I have here? Is this dark or strong? Actually, yeah, let's use strong, not soft. We want them to be darker. So I'm mixing these two washes together. Gonna use a bigger brush for this. Mixing the two. There we go. We're gonna apply it all over. You can see we are going back over his little fur coat, making sure to hit every single part of the miniature again. You have to make sure you're applying it thick enough so that gravity pulls it down. Alright, so nice and simple and quick. What I'm going to do next, we're going to hit that fan again. Making sure I pull off any that's pooling too much. And it will start to dry relatively fast as well. And then we'll start doing all of our highlighting, and he will be fastly finished before you know it. And remember as well, we are leaving the skin until the end intentionally. Pulling off some of that excess, where there's just too much of it. You can always pull off extra ink super easy with a wet brush. Just absorbs back into wherever you have it. So you can see it drying already there on the pants, and it gives us that perfect shade transition. Drying nicely. I think there may be too much. Yeah, there might be too much right here. There we go. In between his legs, there's a lot of it in there. You can see it's still wet. I'm not too worried about that though, because we want it to be really dark. Just gonna keep rotating him around. And you can tell on the little pelt there too, on the back, that the gray that we used there is now really nice brown. The only other thing I'm gonna do to it is actually shade it down in certain areas, so we're not even gonna do another highlight on it. We want it to look decently realistic. So you can see he's drying pretty quick here. This method is really, really good if you have a lot of miniatures to paint. Obviously, too, it depends on the base, like the actual base colors needed on the miniature. This guy, you know, we used the same palette for everything and just mixed a couple colors. So let's see, we've been doing it. So yeah, 20 minutes in and he's already, I would say, 50% complete. So assuming I can keep going pretty fast, he'll be done in under 40 minutes, maybe about 45 minutes, we'll see.
We'll see how it goes. The use of a fan, obviously, that I have right here next to me is huge. But his back is dry. And the wash does create kind of a shine a little bit. At least I've noticed with adding the Vallejo in there. But once I hit it with the dull coat, it'll go away.
Just getting rid of the excess again. Alright, so we can actually get started here on some of the other parts.
Because really the only things that are wet are those really dark recess areas. So, yeah. Alright, let's get started back on his regular pants. Pantalones. So we're going to use that same raw sienna color that we used for the base.
Water it down a little. Not a lot.
I'm going to use dirty water for it. Doesn't have to be clean. Thumb test. Looks good to me.
Alright, so we're going to do just the highlights. Leaving the majority of the wash to help us out. Using a really loaded brush.
Alright, so you can see what we're doing there. Nice and subtle. Using a size 00 brush for pretty much everything. Actually, it's like the only size I use.
Alright, on to the other leg.
Upcoming commissions on the stream. Still working on the large Astra Militarum commission.
I have a set of the miniatures from the game Anachrony.
Just got put in the mail today, so those will get to me this week and we can knock that out.
If it's your first time watching the stream or anything like that, feel free to like the page. Stream usually once a day, sometimes twice a day while I'm working on commissions. I also have a Patreon if you're so inclined, where I do tutorials,
Classes, all kinds of stuff like that. That actually just recently started. Alright, so those pants are looking pretty good to me. You can see we're leaving the majority of the actual shade tone in there.
I can hit the bottom little frills. Making sure we have good coverage.
Alright, nice and easy. So his pants are now definitely complete, so you can see what we did there.
Super easy. Let's knock out his boots.
So you can see we're just barely layering that color back onto the boot. This is the same method that I use for pretty much all of my tabletop level commissions. So you can see it's very fast if you have a lot of stuff to paint at once. Most miniatures take under an hour. This guy's gonna take well under an hour. Alright, so his boots are complete as well. So now we can focus on his shirt. What's nice about this method, you can actually change the color for the highlight color. So, I'm going to change it to more of a tannish grayed out brown. So we're going to use monster brown mixed with some of the fur brown, which was the base color. There we go. Still using the same kind of color palette for the entire miniature. Alright. And remember too, the focus here is just the highlighted portions where the wash kind of fell off. Alright, so you can tell too, right? We're doing very, very simple shading transitions there. Nothing crazy. So there we go. There's the inside of his shirt shaded up. Front of it. Alright, so now we'll move on to this sleeve. I'm going to water down the paint just a tad bit. Just a tad bit. Gonna do the thumb test. Looks good to me. Alright. Just really smooth transitions for the shading. Alright, let's flip them over. All right. Not too bad, not too bad. He does have some of the color there on the right arm, so we'll do that. Alright, so it's all pretty much done. Took about 10 minutes, so let's go ahead and finish up the fur. So what I like to do for that is use a much darker wash. Oh man, got that all over the paintbrush. So I'm gonna whip out Vallejo Game Color Black ink for this part. Just a little bit. Water it down a little bit. Alright. So now in the recessed shadows, we're going to apply this really black ink like so. To help differentiate the areas. So just going back in, darkening it up. This back part. Obviously a really simple method, and then it dries a lot less intense than what you're seeing right there. So you don't have to really worry about that. It's always interesting when you're able to paint stuff with just wash. Alright, so that'll dry on its own. We have some stitching here that we can go back and add some more detail to if we're so inclined. Alright, so why don't we go ahead. I'm going to dry brush the X here. Barely picking out color. Alright, so now what we're left with, obviously, is his skin and the base. Not too concerned with that. We do have the little straps right there as well. So why don't we go ahead and bust out a totally different color that we haven't been using at all yet. Keep changing things up even more. So I'm going to use a different brown. We're going to use Leather Brown by the Army Painter. There we go. Applying this directly to those straps. They do overlap quite a bit, so that's why I'm kind of layering them back and forth. Alright, that was pretty easy. So, now let's bust out the skin. My favorite part. Super easy. If you're hanging out with me today, thanks so much. I always appreciate it. Feel free to like the page. I usually stream multiple times a day if it's your first time checking me out. If you ever need anything,
commission painted, feel free to always send me a quote, or request a quote, I should say. Pretty cheap, pretty quick. Alright, so, thumb test. Looks good, still have good coverage. Alright, so we're probably going to do multiple coats of this color here, but nothing to really worry about. Applying it pretty quickly in thin strokes. So that way it all dries relatively the same time. We're just using a medium flesh tone here. Nothing extraordinary. We're going to do a couple thin coats of this, probably just 2. Then we can apply the wash that I always use. The consistency that you're aiming for usually when you're doing thin coats, you want it to be dry by the time you're moving on to another section. It's the easiest way to gauge it. So like the head's already dry right now as we've moved on to do his hands. And if it's still wet, then that means you've just probably mixed a little bit too much water in there. But it's no big deal. Just trying to do this guy as fast as humanly possible because I have some more stuff to do today, so. After this stream is complete though, it'll be re-uploaded to YouTube. And then for my Patreon members, it'll be edited down, sped up, and re-released. With commentary.
本当ね。案外まだやってるのかもしれないよ。千尋早くしなさい。
Alright, so back to the face. Quick brush strokes, thin layer. Give us that perfect coverage we're looking for. There we go. Looking good. Nice and vibrant. Alright, so his bald dome is looking pretty good. Moving on to this hand again. Moving on to the other hand. Hope you guys are having a good Monday so far. Hope it's nice and spooky for you. Alright, so skin is good to go on there. We're gonna start applying the wash because it's already dry. Really nice and quick method. And he'll be done before we know it. At least tabletop level. Give me one moment here because I'm hearing all kinds of alerts and things going off. Let's see. Alright, so there's a lot of stuff going on here. But anyway, thanks if you guys are liking the page today. Welcome to the fold. I am a full-time commission painter, so I always like to share what I'm working on, give out tips, whatever. You can check out the rest of the page, see what I've been doing lately. Okay. So we're going to apply the skin wash here. I definitely apply this one as thick as I possibly can. That's how you get the best result. So here we go. Mostly applying it with the side of my brush. Now I'm going to go back in and move it around. To help out with those transitions a little bit. If you've never tried moving a wash around after you apply it, I do suggest you try it. It's a pretty good trick. 'Cause as you can see, you can really remove it nice and easily. And of course, we're going to paint back over it, so it's not like a huge deal if you leave, you know, brush strokes or whatever you have going on. You just want to be able to focus on the shadows. Alright, so now onto the hands. Hands apply pretty thick, that doesn't matter. There we go. Other hand. There we go, that looks good. Alright. So real quick, I'm going to slap on just a pretty regular base color. We don't really have to do the base right now either, but might as well if we're going to say that he's finished. I would probably like to go back in and do a real texture on there, but we're just going to do a quick, cheap, dirty base. Nothing too intense. Plus, this gives us something to do while the rest of that skin wash dries. We'll clean up the rim as well with black paint when it's done, so don't worry about that. You don't need to have good coverage either. You'll see what we're going to do. Alright, so that's fine. So now what we're going to do is go back and finish off the skin. Then we'll do his facial hair, which I'm thinking of doing either gray or blonde. I'm not too sure. We'll figure that out. Let's switch back to this camera. Alright. So let's do the skin, shall we? Still have that same skin tone. It's still wet. It's still perfect. Here we go. Let's check my thumb real quick. Looks good to me. Just gonna do pinpoint highlights. Keep it nice and simple. Keeping it real easy on the skin. Simple, simple highlight, one color, thin paint so you can do most of the shading in one pass. So yeah, that's pretty much finished.
Pretty simple.
The camera's blown out that wash a little bit, so it looks a little bit darker than it really is, but nothing too bad. Alright, so we'll move on to the rest of his fingers and everything. Just gonna focus on the knuckles. There's a mold line right there, but that's totally cool. We're just doing tabletop quality here, so nothing insane. Alright, so we're gonna move on to his other hand. Focusing on the knuckles. Thanks for hanging out today. Just doing a really quick paint job. Tabletop level example of what I normally do with commissions. Usually takes less than an hour to paint per miniature. Obviously, if you're doing multiple miniatures at once, it takes even less. I found it usually adds like 30 minutes a mini. Or no, 30 seconds. Sorry, my bad. Alright. So, his hand is complete. Face is done. Need to do his facial hair. Let's do a gray. That'll be easy enough. So let's go ahead and use that same base gray color. Thanks, David. What's up, Tom? Alright, so we're going to finish this dude up. Let's go ahead and do the stitches the same color. So you can see real small brush strokes to do his stitching. He has some more right there, so we'll knock that out. There we go. So easy. Really just hold your breath and don't fart. It'll work out. Alright. So we can actually use that same flesh wash on his beard. It's actually great on gray. Plus it'll still match his skin tone. Alright, so I'm gonna let that chill. His base appears to be decently dry. I was just gonna do a wash on it, so nothing crazy. We could highlight the axe. Pigment's pretty dry on the axe, but or on at least on my palette here, but see what we can do. Nice and simple. Alright. Wash is dry on his face. So we're going to go back in with that same base color. Except this time we're doing implied texture strokes, so that means we're just going to be pretending that there's more fur on his face sculpted than there really is. And you'll see what I mean by that here in a second. But I'm just going to be doing vertical strokes. Vinegar strokes, as some would call it. Alright, so you can see what's going on there.
And then we're going to do a very, very brighter, not brighter, but we're going to do a way lighter gray highlight on all of that. And his gray beard will be complete. So I'm going to get one more gray color. Let's see which one I want to use. Let's use this Vallejo. It's like light blue, it's so gray. And we're just going to be doing dots almost. Almost dots. Alright, so that's it for the beard. I could probably hit his eyeball too. I don't really know if I want to attempt that, but let's, I mean, whatever. We'll see what we can do here. Whatever, we'll see what we can do here. Alright, so I'm going to get it pretty wet. Normally on tabletop stuff, I don't do eyes, but they sculpted this guy's eyes pretty easily. So there we go. There's an eyeball. Let's do the other side eyeball. This one's not sculpted as well, so it's going to make me cry. Here we go. You just got to believe in yourself. I believe in myself. Not a garbage fire. Bam! Got it. Alright, cool. We're not going to look at that ever again. Alright, so that is complete. The last thing we need to do is finish up his little garbage base that we're working on. So, if you could guess... it's probably just because I don't have my mic as close. But don't worry, Kim, I'm gonna edit this and re-upload it, so... that may help. Alright. So just applying a thick wash there. And then we'll just do the black rim. Yeah, if you guys are ever looking for tips, tricks, anything like that, the different methods that I use for commissions, definitely check out my Patreon page. Do updates on there all the time. New content every single week. So we're just cleaning up the edge of the base here with black. If you ever need anything commission painted, feel free to ask. I'll send you a quote. If you yourself are a painter and you like seeing all the streams, things like that, definitely like the page. I usually stream every single day, Monday through Friday, sometimes twice a day. occasionally on the weekend. You can check out my Patreon, patreon.com/minipaintingstudio. There's all kinds of stuff available for you there. So, hopefully by the time the base is dry and we have the rim done, he'll be finished. So this was just under an hour. Closer to 40 minutes if you subtract the waiting on actual paint to dry. Alright, so base is drying, but you can see that's a very, very simple method to use. Tabletop quality. The last thing that I would do is probably add a clear coat to it, anti-shine varnish, and it would be done. So, as you can see, the base is drying, that wash we just applied. And there he is against a dark background, so you can see a better view. Nice and simple. But there you go. That's the easiest way to paint a miniature in about 40 minutes. The easiest thing we did, obviously, was probably the fur coat on his back, because that was just washes. But the rest is just one color highlight, shading it up and down. Nice and easy. But alright, guys. That'll pretty much do it for today. If you're a Patreon member, I'm going to edit this down, speed it all up, and do another upload for you guys this week with this. If you're not a Patreon member, I'll upload this stream in its entirety up to the YouTube channel as well, but the 720 version will be on Facebook too, so either way. But that'll be it for today. Thanks so much for hanging out. As always, I appreciate you. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hope you have a wonderful Halloween as well. I'll probably stream something tomorrow, one more spooky stream. I'm doing a 15% off special. Any orders as well if you need anything. So, appreciate you. Have a great day. Thanks so much.